Hello, welcome to video training. We'll be covering General Ledger, Level 1, creating your chart of accounts, printing out your chart of accounts. From the main menu, let's go into General Ledger. From the General Ledger menu, let's go into Chart of Account Processing. Okay, we're going to be using this thing, account maintenance, but before we get in there, let's go over a couple of things. You should, and this is very important, before you get at this point, read chapter 1 or pages 1 through 9 in the Getting Started Guide General Ledger. So you'll see Wallace System, General Ledger Module, Getting Started Guide. We highly recommend you read pages 1 through 9. If in fact you're not familiar with setting up a chart of account and you're not a General Ledger type person, it is very important to look at page 6, 7, and 8. It'll give you a little idea of how things are normally set up if you're not familiar with accounting. Second thing you may want to do is call up and make an appointment with one of our accountant consultants. We have accountant people on staff here that will give you assistance and help you and point you in the right direction. General Ledger, there's a lot of variations. Every customer is somewhat different. So we need to know exactly how you want to do things, and we can point you in the right direction on how to accomplish exactly what you want. For example, many dealers want to have just a very simple chart of accounts. Well, that's fine. The system's pretty much set up that way. But some people can get very complex. For example, you may want to have a P&L for different departments. You may want to print a profit and loss for parts, profit and loss for service, profit and loss for my new unit sales. Well, that's possible and can be done. You may have multiple companies. You may want to get financials for each company separate. You may want to get it combined. So it's very important to talk to one of our GL consultants, tell them what you're expecting out of the General Ledger package, how you expect your output to be. It's very helpful if you actually fax us some sample financial statements so we know exactly what you're expecting, and then we can point you in the right direction. This system is very, very flexible and very adaptable, but it's important when you're getting started here that we're all on the same page and we set it up correctly. So, be that as it may, let's go in and go into account maintenance. This way you'll actually set your chart of accounts. It's going to go in and ask you a question. Now, this is something else that's very important. The year that it comes up to is the accounting year that you should be starting. For example, mine says 2008. If I'm not in 2008, maybe I expect to start my accounting in 2007, you need to give us a call. So if that year is not correct, you need to call support. They will actually set your current year and whether you're on a calendar year or if you're on a non-calendar year. Normally that's done in the setup sheet, and that's one of the questions that you filled out, but many customers forget to do that. So we want to verify that it is correct. So let's verify the year. If that's correct, select OK. The next thing we want to verify, are we on a calendar year? In this case, we are. Calendar year means my year end is 12, December. So my year begins, period 1 is January, period 12, which is the last year of my calendar year, is 12. If I'm not on a calendar year, like for example, maybe my year ends on September, then obviously that year-end month would be September. So there again, it's important to verify these things. The next thing is when we ship you the system, we give you a sample chart of accounts. You can use our chart of accounts if you wish. You can print them out and take a look at them. It's just a basic chart of accounts. If you want to key in your own chart of accounts, what you may want to do is call up support and have us clear the sample data. So before you get started, it's probably a good idea to talk to one of our consultants. They'll advise you on clearing your data, on the steps that you probably want to proceed. Okay, now we've done all that. Let's go in and create some chart of accounts. What you'll do is you'll type in an account number that you want to use. Our account numbers are 4 digits to the left, like say 1000. You can also have sub-account numbers, like 0.77. Typically, sub-account numbers are used, and there again, it's explained in those first 9 pages. Some people use it for doing departmentizing, where the number would be the same, but the different sub number would be your department. Some people use it for separating companies. So there again, this is one of those things where you want to talk to one of our GL consultants. But if I want to make up a number here, and let's just start right here, I'll put a number in, and I'm just going to make it 888, period. I'm not going to give it a sub-account number. I'm going to hit the Enter key. If that number was out there, it would actually do our standard maintenance type screen. It would come up and say changing, show me what the number is, and display all the information. If it isn't out there, it's going to say adding. And now I would type in the description, new account. Next thing is, what type of account is this? Obviously, it's an asset, a liability, an equity, an expense, an income, or cost of goods. Let's say income. Now it goes to F4 add. Select add. That is now in my system. If I want to change it, I would type in the same number, hit the Enter key, and maybe change the description or whatever I want. If I made a mistake and maybe that's supposed to be an expense, I'd hit change. So it's very simple setting up your chart of accounts. Obviously, if you want to see what you did, hit lookup. When you do a lookup, it goes to the account number that you just was at. In this case, I was at 8888. If I want to look up all my chart of accounts, you would hit F2, blank that out, and pick how you want to display it. Do you want to display it by account number? So if I hit account number, it's displaying all my accounts. The lowest number I have is 1,000. If I was looking for a number that started with 3,000, I would type in 3,000 and then hit account number. It'll list everything that's 3,000 and greater. If I list it by type, it's going to list it by type: asset, cost of goods, liabilities. If I do keyword, maybe I'm looking for something that has cash in it. There again, that searches everything and it looks at the descriptions, everything. So when you find what you're looking for, you can look it up. If I want to change that account, I will display it. Hit change, and now it's changed. So it's very simple. You know, first step here is setting up your chart of accounts. There again, it's probably important to talk to one of our GL consultants first, kind of go over what you want to do. It's very helpful before we do that to make an appointment. They're not available by phone call. You really need to make an appointment. Make it planned 2 or 3 days ahead before you make that appointment. They'll tell you the types of things that they're looking for. Secondly, while you're at this screen, just to show you some of the features that you have, obviously we can hit account year-to-date inquiry. What this does, this pretty much tells me everything I want to know about this account. In this account, it's new. We don't have any activity. We're on an accounting year. I mean a calendar year. So period 1 is in fact the month 1. Period 12 is in fact the period 12. We can actually click on here, and if we want to see any detail, which we don't, it would tell me all the entries that were made. In this case, we don't have any. We'll be going over this further. Right now, we just want to concentrate on getting your chart of accounts. So by all means, what you want to do is put your chart of accounts in here. If you want to do a search and do a lookup here, look them up. The next thing you want to do, just to verify that you have everything you need, is when you're done putting in your chart of accounts, hit escape and hit chart of account reports. You can run this report by account number, by account type, or account description. Let's do it by account number. I want all accounts. And there again, it'll list all your account numbers, what your year is, your account numbers, the description, whether it's an asset, liability. You should give this to the owner, print it out, have them check it out, or give it to your accountant. Make sure that you're not missing anything. You may want to sort it by account type. Okay, this includes the very first section. Obviously, you can't go very far in General Ledger unless you have your chart of accounts. That's where everything is derived from. That's where everything starts from. So take your time, get in a good chart of accounts, and from there you'll have a good building block. Okay, this concludes this section.